What is up, creator? The following demonstration will prove that you can move sources to the beat of any song of your choosing while live streaming with OBS Studio. A lot of you have been chomping at the bit to see this one. Here's the proof of concept. This demonstration uses transparent ping 24s in conjunction with two MP4s. One has the background removed with a filter, plus we use the Spectralizer plugin, which is those waveforms behind the text, and of course the Move Transition plugin with hotkeys assigned. Each hotkey, there are 3 of them, have their own button press characteristics. I'm going to explain all of this to you quickly, easy. We're going to have some fun. Let's get some.
Electrify your online presence with live streaming.
This channel provides education on live streaming tools and techniques to give you the reward and recognition that you deserve. If you like what you hear, subscribe and click the bell for new video notification every single week. I have decided to take all the assets that comprise this demonstration and put them in a zip file and put them on my Google Drive so that you can download them and use them as you follow along with this tutorial. I'll put a link in the description so that you can use it. I also will provide links to both the plugin pages, that's the Spectralizer plugin and the Move Transition plugin. We're going to move now to quickly installing both these plugins. They're very easy to install because the programmers didn't skip a beat and provided exe and pkg files for those who are Mac users. It just makes things a lot easier. So we'll talk about that real quick and then move directly into how we construct these buttons to do what I just showed you. Okay, let's install the Move Transition plugin. The link is in the description. It's been developed by Exeldro, which is a very good designer for plugins for OBS. He is top notch. If you click the download button in the upper right hand corner, you'll get a pop-up. If you have a Windows system, you're going to want to download the window installer. If you ever have a choice between choosing the installer or doing the manual, always go with the installer because it just makes things so much easier. There's also an installer, a PKG, for Mac users and Linux users. So this is going to be super easy for you to install. For the Spectralizer plugin, link in the description, there is also a click to download in the upper right hand corner. Click that and it takes you to GitHub. It's not as pretty as Exeldro's downloader, but it's the same stuff. We have a installer.windows.exe file. That's what you want if you have a Windows system. It'll just go through the process and insert all the necessary files. There is a PKG for Mac users as well, and I believe there is for Linux as well too. Yes, there's a Linux as well. So no matter if you have a PC, Mac, or Linux, you are covered for both these plugins. They are top notch. Okay, let's open up OBS for the first time. We'll hit the plus sign in the lower left-hand corner, and we'll name it Intro Countdown. You can name it anything you want, but for this purposes, I'll name it that. I'll hit OK. And now we have to add some sources. So the first thing that we're going to add is the animated space video that I showed you in the demonstration. So I'm going to click the plus sign, go to media source, and I'll type anything you want in there. Just call it space. Hit OK. And then you want to find that file on your computer that you downloaded from my Google Drive, right? Make sure that loop is checked off. Make sure that restart playback when source becomes active is checked off, and show nothing when playback ends. That way, when you're not looking at that scene, all the resources won't play in the background and eat up your system resources, because when you're live streaming, you want to free up the CPU as much as you can. I'm not going to do this because I've already set it up in the previous demo, so all I have to do is click the plus sign, go into media source, and then I have these choices here. So if I click this add media radio button, I can choose moving space because I've already created it. Hit OK, and when I double click it, it goes into properties and shows me all those parameters that I just spoke of. They're already all set up. The next part for me is I got to hit the plus sign, go into image and add existing and select Scott. Hit OK. And let's shrink me down a little bit by hitting that selector square in the upper right hand corner and just bring it down to a normal size and put it right there. Okay, looks great. Now let's bring in a couple sunglasses that we're going to move into view with the hotkey. So I'm just, for this example, I'm only going to add 3 because I want to make sure that you understand the process by which the motion occurs. It's kind of complex, and I just want to make it as simplistic as possible so that you can wrap your head around it. So let's begin by adding the first sunglass. I'll go into Image, add existing, sunglass 1, hit OK. Add another one, plus sign, Image, add existing 2. Good. Plus sign, Image, add existing 3. Of course, you'll be adding these one by one, but I'm just selecting add existing because they're already there. So we've got a Martian sunglass, a shark sunglass, and these hands sunglass. So let's shrink those down so that they will fit my face appropriately. Okay, that looks just about right. I'll make that a little bit smaller. Good. Make these smaller. That's a little bit big. About like that. Let's move that out of the way. Perfect. Excellent. Move the hand sunglasses, shrink them down. And good. Perfect. Looks great. Okay. Let's get them all set up over my face. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Okay. Now let's work on getting these to move with the Move Transition. This is when it gets interesting. Okay, all our graphics and movies are inserted into the Sources panel. The next step now is to create filters that will actually move the sunglasses. So what I'd like you to do is go into the intro countdown scene and right-click in there and select Filters. And it's going to open up this panel, and I want you to hit the plus sign and select Move Source. So what we're going to do here is we're going to name our first filter S, which means sunglass, right? 1, which means the first sunglass, dash in, hit OK, hit the plus sign again, move source, and we're going to name it S1 dash out. And I want you to do this for every pair of sunglasses. Sunglasses 1, sunglasses 2, sunglasses 3. I'm going to do it right now and speed the video up real quick here. Okay, let's assign the sources to each filter. So for the S1s, that gets sunglass 1. All S2s get sunglass 2 assigned, and S3s get the sunglass 3 assigned. There it is there, already worked out on my system. Do that now. And then when you get to the custom duration, it's going to default to 300 milliseconds. That's a little slow. It basically is telling you how much time transpires from one motion state to the next. The travel time, essentially. And if it's too slow as it moves, and you hit the hotkey before the motion stops, the system gets confused and funky and it gets chunky, so it's best to keep it at 200 milliseconds. So make sure that you go in for each one of these and set that as 200, okay? Awesome. Okay, for the easing, it can be anything that you want. Just make sure that the end delay is set to 0. I want to make sure that the easing is the same state for all your sunglass motions, so S1 through S3 should have the same setting for that. What's really important now is to discern what your 2 points are, your in and out points, in regards to where the source will come from and where it will land. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. So if we slide this filter box over a little bit so we can see our sources, let's go and isolate sunglass 1. So what I'd like to do is I'll turn off my face, make sure it's locked so it can't be selected. Moving space, I'll turn it off too, make sure that it's locked. As you can see, there it is, it's locked now. Sunglasses 2 and 3, we'll turn those off as well and lock them. Now the only thing I can move right now, I think I'll turn my face on just so I can see where it resides on my face. Okay, good. The only thing that I can select now is that sunglass 1. Okay, that's what I want. And I'm going to go to sunglass in, and this is where it's going to arrive, right? So I want to make sure it looks right on my face, and I'm going to scroll down. I'm in S1 in, and I'm going to click Get Transform. Now when I click it, watch what happens. See how it goes back up to the top? That's a glitch. And if you scroll back down to the Get Transform now and hit it a second time, you'll see those numbers change. See that? As soon as they change, that means it's been saved. There's no save button. So what I'd like you to do is go into each one of your S2, S1, and S3 ins and make sure that you place them over the face where they should be and hit Get Transform twice on all of those, okay? Cool. Now that you've correctly placed the sources over my eyes for each of the in filters, now go into the out filters and move those sources out of frame. Be sure to click Get Transform for each one so that the system knows that the source has been moved out of frame correctly. Okay, this is where it gets interesting, and this really baked my bean for a long time. I had to really drill down on this to figure it out because I'm a visual thinker and this was really getting me confused, but I got it. So here's the deal. What we're going to do is we're going to hit the hotkey and we're going to move from S1 in to S2 in, and from S2 in we're going to go to S3 in. But the problem is when you go from, let's say, S2 in to S3 in, S1 in never goes away. So you're going to get this thing where the things come in and stay there. The lower layer will just stay there as other layers come in, and that's going to look garbage like crap, you know? So what we want to do is we want to tell the system to also remove the previous source, and that's why we created the S1, S2, S3 outs. So we're going to do a simultaneous move. We're going to have one come in and one come out at the same time. All right? So first and foremost, what we want to do is make sure that all our ins are designated with hotkey. So let's go to S1 in, scroll down to the bottom, and make sure that it says hotkey right there and not move end, okay? So when you click that hotkey, it's bouncing from one in to the next. So let's go to the S2 in, scroll down, make sure that says hotkey. It does. S3, does that say hotkey? It does, okay. Now the next thing we want to do is designate the next move. Now we're bouncing from one in to the next. So S1 in should go to S2 in. Okay. S2 in should go to S3 in. Good. And S3 in should go to S1 in. Because we're starting from the top after we get to the last one. Great. Okay. Upon us doing that, now we have to make sure that the previous image or source gets removed when it moves to the next in. So for example, if we're in S2, our simultaneous move here would be S1 out. So as S2 comes in, S1 leaves. And we want to do that for S3 in. We want to make sure that S2 out is the simultaneous move. Okay? And when we go to S1 in, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because upon one coming in, we want the simultaneous move to have the S3 out selected. So initially, you won't see it, but as you approach the S3 in, then you will have to have it set up this way. So that's the correct way to do it. So now when we hit the close, we've got that all set up. We're going to go into settings and go into the hotkeys here. Scroll down to the source that we've created, which is called Intro Countdown, I believe, if memory serves. Yes, that's where it is, right here, Intro Countdown. We have set the hotkeys for only the ins. So I'm going to click Shift X for my example on all the ins because we're bouncing from one in to the next. Hit apply, hit OK. And this should work on hitting the Shift X. Let's see what happens. Boom, boom, boom. It works, no problem. And now, because we have that travel time set to 200 milliseconds, this will work for most scenarios because most songs aren't that fast. You know, this is going pretty fast. Boom, 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 boom. If you had it set to 500 and it was coming in real slow, it might be a problem. The system won't be able to figure it out. So that's how you do the sunglasses. See how cool this is? I mean, the things that you could do with the software are mind-boggling. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is set up the motion where the space movie gets bigger and smaller with a toggling hotkey. That's next. Here we go. Okay, this next one is where we will hit a hotkey, and every time we hit the same hotkey, the space source here, which is a movie, will get larger and smaller. So let's go into the intro countdown scene, right click into filters, and we're going to hit a plus sign, and we'll select move source, and we'll name this space big. Hit OK. Hit a plus sign again, move source, space small. Hit OK. So let's go into both of these and make sure that they're set properly in regards to their next move. So if I'm in space big, I want it to move to space small. So next move is space small, and I want to make sure that the hotkey is selected. And when I go to space small, hotkey selected, we want to go to the next move of space big. So every time you hit the key, it goes to the corresponding filter. So the next step here is to go to big. Well, let's go to small first, and let's hit the get transform so it has a record of that position. Okay, good. It looks solid. And space big, well, let's move this filter box over and make this thing large. And if you hit Control D, I believe it centers it on the screen. Let's see what happens. Yep. Awesome. Now we want to make sure that we click Get Transform to get that position and size. And it worked. Okay, good. So let's hit Close, and then we'll go into Settings again and go to Hotkeys, and let's see if we can set this hotkey to the right filter. And I'm going to hit Shift / for both and hit Apply and OK. Awesome. Let's see if this thing works. There it goes. It's moving. Cool. That's a little bit slow. I might want to speed that up a little bit. So I'm going to go back into the filters real quick and make sure that that transition time is, I don't know, maybe 150. It's awfully slow, because when that's moving quickly with a beat of a song, it could be a problem. Let's see what it does now. Oh yeah, it's much faster. See how it's almost instantaneous? It's performing way better. That will allow me to move it to the beat of a song that has a fast beat. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, our next button is a automatic animation where the graphic goes from small to large on a single hotkey stroke. So let me give you a demo here. As you can see, it goes from small to large on a single hotkey stroke. Unlike space, which moves every time I hit the key, this one is automatic. So I've already added this to OBS. I've added the source and added the filters. I'm just going to give you a quick review on how this works. So it's called Burst. It's an MP4 movie. And if I go to filters, you'll see that I removed the background with a chroma key filter. Super easy, cut and dry. There it is. It's got, this graphic was on a black background, and that's the color that I removed. If I go to the filter side in the scene, I have two filters, Burst Small, which is the small size of the graphic, and Burst Large, which is the large size. If I go into Burst Small, you'll see here that, as you can see it's highlighted, you'll see that if I scroll down, it's set up to go to Burst Large on a hotkey stroke. Okay? Goes to Burst Large on a hotkey stroke. When I go to Burst Large, it goes back to Burst Small, but it does it automatically on a move end. So when the graphic goes to the full large size, upon it reaching that point, it automatically goes to Burst Small, and Burst Small is small, so it goes back to small again. And if I go to the Start button here, you can test it. See? Perfect. So if I close this out and go into Settings and go into the hotkeys and scroll down here to that scene, where is it? There it is. You'll notice that I don't have a hotkey set for Burst Small, only for Burst Large, because it's automatically set to go back to small upon the hotkey being hit. Does that make sense? I hope it's clear for you. So that's how I've done that motion. Now the next piece real quick is the Spectralizer. It's really fun. Let's go. Okay, let's add the music so that the Spectralizer will function properly. I'll hit the plus sign in Sources and go into Media Source. I'll hit Add Existing and The song is what I've previously created. In your case, you'll hit create new, name it, and select the file on your computer. There it is. Thankfully, the new version of OBS allows me to stop the sound with this little play button here, which is a great new feature. Let's go now and click the plus sign under Sources again and select Spectralizer. And I'll hit OK. And let's make sure the mode is set to bars. Audio source is going to be the song, right? We're going to change the color to purple because that matches my background. 5 pixels is fine. Let's make it 3 just for fun. Bar height is absolutely fine, and I'll hit OK to that. And it's pretty small. We'll make it a little bit larger, and we'll play the music to see if it works. Okay, looks real good. The only problem is this thing is really not that wide, so what I'm going to do is right-click on Spectralizer 2. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste. And it should duplicate it, and it does. I'm going to right-click on the second one now and go into Transform and flip horizontal. Now I can place these side by side. I'll put them right about here. There we go. Make sure you can nudge them with your arrows keys just to make sure they look pretty close to being in the right place. Okay, looks great. Good. And we are in business. The next part is to put the text in. That's pretty cut and dry. Let's do a real quick demo on this to make sure if it works here. Here we go. There it goes. Yeah. So you have full control over what's going on with the thing. All right, awesome. So the next video that we're going to discuss is how to create a Pomodoro timer. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Pomodoro timer, which means it's designed to help people study. The timer will reach a certain point, and then we're going to move scenes and sources around to reflect the next break time, which could be anything that you want, 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then it's going to start again with a second counter, and I'm going to show you how to manipulate your scenes to reflect the times that you want to do. That video will be right here when it's produced. Thank you very much for watching this video. I know it was a long one. I hope you learned some great stuff on it. I will catch you on the flip side. Stay strong and keep fighting.